name's Paul Smith. I'm the Director of IT at King's College. We're a sort of independent school in New Zealand with a roll of just under 1,000 students. We're years 9 to 13. So in our senior school, years 12 and 13, we have an intake of girls, so it's just boys only from 9 to 11. So yeah, we're a boarding school, so we have probably about 55 to 60% of our roll board in some way. Or a number of students obviously come in at years 12 and 13 to finish their schooling at King's. Obviously, specifically the girls, we take an intake of girls of around 70 or 80 students into year 12. There's only an expectation of our year 12 and 13 students to have daily regular computer access. So the junior school and the year 11, the school provides computers around the place. So we have labs all over the place. We've probably got about 180-ish computers throughout the school. Obviously, our students coming in with personally owned ICT devices, and even that's quite diverse now. We're starting to see other types of devices now, like mobile phones and netbooks and sort of iPads and all those sorts of other sort of fringe devices, I guess, that's sort of changing landscape there. We have a mixture of platforms as well, from Windows XP right through to Windows 7, Apple Macintosh machines as well. That's generally sort of what we're seeing. So it's pretty diverse, to be honest. Yeah, we've got heavy dependency on our wired and wireless networks throughout the college. It is quite resource intensive. I mean, we obviously have quite a number of users, and we do offer all of our students a certain level of storage on our network. So whether they're using their own computer, they have the ability to connect into to their sort of space, their drive, or their sort of home folder on the network. And when if they were to sit down in front of a lab machine, whether it be a Windows machine or an Apple Macintosh machine, they get that drive mapped automatically. So that follows them around. They can log in and basically carry on where they left off. It's interesting because you've got sort of, I suppose you've got different kinds of people, and it will all come back down to how much the teacher's prepared, or the actual facilitator is prepared to do. You've got some teachers who are so forward-thinking and are so engaged in technology, they're not afraid of it. And I think that's the big thing. You've got a younger generation coming through now, and then because they're not afraid of the technology and they use it themselves in their own private lives, they're on Facebook themselves, so they understand how it all works, they're probably more likely to sort of try those sorts of things out. Get a group of students together and make them, rather than everyone submits an essay, as a group create a wiki on the subject collaboratively, and hopefully that we have the tools available to be able to assess that in a little bit in a structured way. So it's actually, so you can actually see who's contributed what and those sorts of things. And I think I mean, wikis have been around for years, but I mean they're now obviously used all over the place. But and we're starting to see obviously things like wikis, blogging obviously being part of daily life in schools, people producing podcasts for lesson material. It's all, I guess, creating content and material that's going to be useful for the students to go and look at while they're not in the class, which gives the teacher more time in the class for discussion as opposed to copy the notes off the board or whatever. So they're saying, well, all the material's there, you guys can start working on all this stuff together, and we're going to spend this 50-minute period, lesson, whatever, talking about these things and actually engaging in conversation. You can't really beat FaceTime, I suppose. I guess a lot of those technologies have facilitated a lot of work to be done outside of the classroom, and the classroom time can be sort of a bit more direct in terms of discussion and teaching. Our physics department, they use online testing. They do 20 tests throughout the year, and each test is an hour long or 50 minutes long, so it would fit inside of one lesson. So by doing online testing, what they've done effectively by just pushing that out into an online testing system is they've reclaimed 20 periods or 20 lessons that in a year, which is like about a fifth of the lesson time that they have with students. So that's massive. That's just obviously a small example of how someone's using a very basic technology that's been around for many years, just to sort of free up time. And it's a real convergence, I suppose, of lots of different technologies to enable these sorts of things. So, I mean, it's actually worked out that Softsource has probably become one of our most major suppliers, certainly in the server and infrastructure areas. So We've been working with Softsource now. We first started sort of working with them for some implementation of some server hardware, and then they've come in and assisted us greatly with our virtualization of everything. Basically, we're now 100% virtualized, which is great, and we put in a new SAN this year at the very beginning of the year. So that's all going really well. It's definitely grown somewhat. Yeah, we've used their professional services quite considerably. It's that sort of level 3 support, assistance. I mean, you have service contracts with like the vendor of the product, but there's nothing better than having a person that's local, that knows your environment, that can just pick up the phone and sort of VPN into our network and give us sort of assistance on sort of some of the areas that we just don't have those specialized skills in. We've got to manage, our Exchange environment, our SQL environment, virtualized solution, SANs and network and internet connections and all this, Wi-Fi network, all those sorts of things. So we're running the same enterprise level solutions that large corporates are using. We still have the same technologies, just on a smaller scale, but obviously having a staff that have got all of those skill sets internally amongst 5 people is a little bit challenging sometimes. So we don't have that in-depth knowledge in some areas. So it's important for an organisation like King's, with a small IT presence internally, to be able to partner with key technology suppliers. But it's always been so responsive. Like, there's only been one situation where we've needed someone in an emergency, and they were out there within an hour. So it was just like, well, you can't really ask for much more, to be honest. We've obviously got partnerships with sort of a networking outfit, but obviously from an infrastructure point of view, Softsource is our partner in that sense.